Hello, I'm Murmur, and to my 15 subscribers, I've returned. So if anyone's interested, which I doubt is the case, I'm going to be providing a few updates for this channel. Channel updates, if you will. So skip to this point in the video if you don't care. So I will continue reviewing movies, mostly horror, but not exclusively. I want to make a lot of lists about movies and other things that interest me, but I also want to branch out. So I've made a second channel where I'll look at history and geography and stuff like that, as it is a primary hobby of mine. Also, the second video I made, the Films of David Lynch Part 2, has been taken down, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? I currently intend to upload somewhat regularly, but I cannot guarantee anything. But, I've only amassed 15 subscribers, so I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. Yeah, let's just get into the review. Today I'm going to, once again, review a somewhat obscure, poorly received slasher movie from the mid-2000s. I don't know why, but I've been watching a lot of this very specific type of movie lately. It's almost like a period of resurgence of the 80s slasher craze. But of course the public zeitgeist was far more familiar with the tropes at this point, so the movies weren't nearly as popular, and as a result, generally aren't as well remembered as the vulgar, pulpy slashers from 1980 to 1984 that we all know and love. But I've decided to give some of these lesser known movies a chance. So far from what I've planned to cover on this channel, Simon Says was a pleasant surprise, just a lot of fun, and Gutterballs was a pathetic attempt to recapture the sleaze and brutality of 80s slashers, but ends up just being unpleasant and nearly unwatchable. And I also didn't like the review I made of it, so I never ended up posting it. But for today's movie, I'll be looking at Dark Ride, which falls somewhere in between those two. If I were to describe the film in one word, it would be familiar. It doesn't add anything new, but that doesn't mean it can't be fun or entertaining. So, what's it about? Well, we follow a group of college kids, which includes Jamie Lynn Sigler as the lead, also known as Meadow Soprano.
Listen to Mr. Mob Boss.
And also this guy that's obsessed with film, another common cliche, especially in the more quote-unquote self-aware era of post-Scream slashers. And am I imagining things, or does he kind of look like AJ Soprano? Maybe a younger version? I don't know. Like if Robert Eyler didn't age quite as well as he did, it's weird. Wait, hold on. That's the fucking kid from Sandlot. Who, you have to admit, does kind of look like AJ. Anyway, they go on vacation or whatever, make a stop at a creepy gas station as is routine, and end up staying the night in a creepy abandoned amusement park ride with a sinister history. Oh, and they also pick up a hitchhiker along the way. A really odd one.
You feeling me? It's like a whole symbiotic relationship between life, death, malls, pets, health and nutrition.
Yeah, all very, very familiar. It actually feels like an updated version of Tobe Hooper's The Funhouse, which is a pretty neat early 80s slasher that I'd recommend. But anyway, the setting in Dark Ride is actually kind of cool. There's a lot of creative animatronics and other miscellaneous spooky props that add to the eerie atmosphere and make for a nice visual treat while watching these kids run away from a psychotic murderer for the last third of the movie. It's also slightly self-aware, but I wouldn't call it a satire or anything. There's some comedy and some self-deprecating quips in the dialogue. It's nothing too noteworthy, but it's there, and the humor is fine. It didn't make me laugh out loud or anything, but it wasn't cringy either.
Excuse me, we don't have to blow around here to pay for some gas and get out of here.
That'll be $16 even. Here's a coupon for your friend out there. He mentioned he'd like to get some grub. Stucky Ribs is the best in the area. This will save you $2.50 on every entree.
Thank you, that's very helpful of you.
Now about that blowjob.
Slightly amusing, I'd say. And that kind of applies to the whole movie. There isn't anything at all special about it, but there isn't anything notably terrible about it either. It's just kind of entertaining horror fluff that doesn't make any attempt to avoid cliches. The cast of characters is slightly less stereotypical than one would expect, but still, they don't exactly have multi-layered personalities. The performances were fine. I did enjoy the film nerd, as exaggerated a character he is. He was entertaining.
Now do Mow! Nikki!
And it's kind of surreal seeing Meadow in a horror movie. I don't think I've seen her in anything but The Sopranos, except for maybe an episode of How I Met Your Mother. But anyway, I digress. There's a slow build up to the actual massacre, which isn't unheard of, but it could have had a quicker pace. When the killings do begin, they're cool. There's some creative ones, some kind of funny ones. This head split is pretty badass. And the decapitation of the hitchhiker is, I don't know, it is what it is. Relatively low body count, but the gore and originality mostly make up for that. The killer's mask is a baby, which might be kind of creepy, but having just watched 2 Happy Death Day movies relatively recently. That's all I could picture. The ending is fine, I guess. A little different than usual. Not anything too special, but the reveal was alright. Makes sense. I actually kind of felt dumb for not having predicted it, because looking back, I mean, obviously, but yeah. Dark Ride is again very familiar. I've seen it all before. I've seen it all better. It's not especially entertaining, but I didn't regret watching it or anything. It's a movie that's just kind of there. I assume I'll forget it in a couple of months, so with that information, you can make up your own mind as to whether or not it's worth your time. I'll introduce a rating scale to this channel, but instead of a numerical rating, which I think can get a bit messy and inaccurate for me, I'll give the movie a tier. I've come up with 12 of them. They are as follows: GOAT, greatest of all time, of course, one of my personal favorites. Masterpiece, pretty self-explanatory. Near masterpiece, again, self-explanatory. Better than great, but not quite a masterpiece. Great, at this point, it's more than just a good movie. I'm passionate about it. Very good, in between good and great. Good, solid, decent, meh, poor, bad, terrible, and woat, worst of all time. So, Dark Ride, I would give decent.